So when you say to the mind, I wish I could, it says, yeah, me too, get over it. When you say to the mind, I hope I get this right, it goes, yeah, well, keep hoping, because you're not going to do that. So what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to take you first through the rules of the mind. They're my rules of the mind. I made them up, but I made them up over 33 years. And somebody said to me once, well, who are you to make this up? I went, well, someone's got to do it. I think 33 years of working with royalty and Olympic athletes gives me the right to say, these are the rules of the mind. And if ever you're stuck with a client, stuck with a child, stuck with an adult that needs some help, and you think, oh, I don't know what to do, take them through the rules of the mind, because it actually blows their mind. They go, well, I never knew that. I didn't understand that. And we will come after the rules of the mind to language patterns. Now, I've given you some slides on language patterns that are really for young children, but they also are very effective for adults. So let's do a quick little language thing right now. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to go, I'm going to try to remember these rules of the mind. I'm going to try so hard to memorize it. If only I could memorize that document. I wish I had a better memory. I hope I can remember that when I'm working with my own client. I really hope I can do what she does. I wish I could do it. I hope to do it. I'm going to try to do it. I really want to do it. And just focus on how you feel when you use the word wish, which is wishy-washy. I don't like wish. Wishing says to your mind, you haven't got a prayer, but you might as well wish. Because wishing just says, you're not going to do that. Oh, I wish. No one says, I wish I could get up in the morning and clean my teeth. I wish I could pick up that pencil and write a note. You don't say wish, you go, I'm doing it. So when you say to the mind, I wish I could, it says, yeah, me too, get over it. When you say to the mind, I hope I get this right, it goes, yeah, well, keep hoping, because you're not going to do that. When you go, if only, your mind goes, well, you never managed it before, so keep on with the if only, why don't you? But when you do it differently, close your eyes again and go, I will memorize this. It's going in. I have a phenomenal memory. My memory is awesome. I read things and they empower me and they stick. I am remembering it all. I do this. I've got it. I have a phenomenal memory. I have incredible powers of recall and assimilation. And I remember everything. It has a totally different effect. And so you learn with language. I never let my clients say wish. I won't allow them to say the word but. I could do that, but. No, we never say but. And we also never say should. My therapist said to me, excuse me swearing, should is shit, and never use that word. I should. I say I could. I should go to the gym. I could go to the gym, but I know it's my fault. I'm not making the effort. So with young children, just changing one word will change their life. I'll give you an example. My little girl would go to school, and she'd get to the gate, and she'd come back, and I'd always say, what have you remembered? Could have said, what have you forgotten? There's only 2 words. What have you? She goes, I've remembered my swimming kit. I've remembered my book. I've remembered my PE. I go, that's fantastic. You have such a great memory that when you get to the gate, you remember and back you come. And very quickly, she didn't have to come back because I never said, what have you forgotten today? Oh my God, your mind is like a sieve. What's wrong with you? You get to the gate. And I never do that, and you forget. Why can't you be like me? I have my little bag by the door. I put everything the night before, and I never did that. I said, what have you remembered? So here's just one word. And my clients really taught me the power of words, because I'd see the ones who'd come and go, I wish I could do that. Oh, thanks, Marisa, for all this. I could do that, but I know I ought to do that, and I should, but. And so I started banning words. I said, when you come in this office, you're not allowed to go wish, but, hope. I work a lot with infertile women, and the ones who don't get pregnant always say that, I wish I could get pregnant. And then when they get pregnant, they say, I'm so scared of losing it. I'm not going to tell anyone just in case I lose it. I'm like, well, but what are you saying to your baby? It's in the womb. The most developed sense is hearing. I'm not even going to tell anyone you're here because I have no faith you're going to make it. I go, how about sending the scans out to your parents and showing them, this is my baby, it's staying, my body made it, my body is so super smart. My body is going to carry this baby to full term. This is my one chance in the world to be God. I'm making a miracle here. And my body is growing that baby physically, and I'm growing and nurturing that baby emotionally, and every day I tell it, today your spine is forming. This week your mouth and lips are forming and your ears are forming, and it sends a message to the brain that goes, this is working, whereas running to the bathroom every hour to just see if you're spotting, saying, oh, I'm really scared of losing it, sends a message to the mind. And one of the rules of the mind, and it's the best rule, is that every thought you think and every word you say forms a blueprint, and your mind must work to make that blueprint real. So when you say, I can't remember anything, I'd lose the eyes in the back of my head if they weren't fixed in there, because I just can't remember anything. Your mind goes, that's a blueprint. Let me take you to it. And when you say, my memory is phenomenal, foolproof. In fact, I'm like human Google. When I read an exam, the minute I read the question, my mind has already gone to work, found the answer, and it stays in my head right through until I write it on the paper. Then I read the next question, the same thing happens. As I read the question, Google says, here's the answer. I work with children all the time with exam stress, and they come in. I was a little boy last year who had, I think there were 17 children applied for every place in his school, and he flunked the mocks. And I'm like, darling, you're supposed to flunk the mocks. It's great to flunk the mocks. You know what mocks are, don't you? Oh, so in England, when you're taking an exam, you have a mock exam, maybe 6 weeks before you take the exam, just to see how you do. And then they say, well, you did terribly, you did really well. And because you did really well, you're going to pass that exam. And because you did terribly, you're going to fail. In fact, the ones who do well in the mocks get so complacent, they often don't do so well in the actual exam. And the ones who do badly think, wow, I need to up my game. I need to revise more and study more. So when he came in and said, my mummy was so upset because I got really bad marks in the mocks, I went, that's fantastic. What were you worse on? He said, the writing, what did you do? So I didn't read the instructions correctly, and I didn't use the right words. I went, that's fantastic. So what did you need to do? And just by changing his language, I didn't use the right words, and explained to him that he could do it, and telling him that his mind was like Google. Then I was asking him some questions about Harry Potter. And I said, how do you know these answers? Have you studied Harry Potter? He went, no, I just really like it. I said, well, see how clever your mind is. So when you're working with a kid that says, I don't know, ask them about James Bond. Ask them about something that they like and go, how do you know this? They go, I don't know. How do you know? Wow, you're so smart. Because when they like something, they remember. And part of school is liking something. So with this little kid, he got into that school. I knew he'd get in because he came in like that and he left like that. He was like, I'm going to nail this. I know what to do. My mind is like Google. And I will say to all my clients, whether they're a 7-year-old taking an exam or someone taking a medical exam or the bar, I say, whatever you're reading, your focus narrows down. You say the word narrow down, and when you say narrow down, everything fades away. You're absorbed in that paper. You have phenomenal powers of concentration, comprehension, recall, retention, and assimilation. And I say words that help you do the next one. Comprehension, comprehension, retention, recall, assimilation. I say it over and over again because the mind believes what you tell it. So let's go through the rules of the mind. Here is the first one. What is expected tends to be realized. When you say to a child, I don't know what's wrong with you. Your brother was in my class last year and he was so good. Why can't you learn? Why can't you sit still? Why are you so disruptive? What is wrong with you? You're making words that form a child's blueprint. And exactly the same for adults. I'm referring this a lot to children, but for the therapists here, those children come in as your clients. But it's just the same for adult. If your boss says to you, can you do this? And you go, oh my God, I'm going to have to race through it, and I'm going to have to rush it. I haven't got enough time to prepare. I know I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to go on stage, open my mouth and go, Well, when you say that, it tends to be realized. And here's one of my favorite rules of the mind. The mind responds to words that make a picture. So in America, they were giving these kids pencils called "Don't Do Drugs." And as they sharpened them, the word "don't" disappeared. And they said, "Do drugs." Not very smart. Needed to put that the other way around. What is expected tends to be realized. When a child is doing something like climbing a tree, and the mother goes, "You're going to fall, you're going to break your leg, oh my God, you're going to break your ankle," you can make that happen. And when you say to the child, "Now, I know you're climbing the tree. Look where you're putting your hands. Look where you're going to place your feet. Focus on what you're doing," that will be realized. So in powerful language, you can never say, "You're going to fall, you're going to mess that up, you're going to ruin everything." That's just not going to work out. You have to say the opposite. "Okay, I've only got 10 minutes to prepare my speech. I only need 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes to get there. That's exactly how much time I need. And if I'm late, I wasn't supposed to be there on time." I have a belief now when I get to a party late, it's because I wasn't meant to get there early. I no longer go, "Oh my God, I'm so late. This is going to be terrible." In fact, I was recently going in a cab across town to get a train to work with a football team. And we got stuck in traffic. And so I was playing a game. I thought, "Oh my God, I'm going to miss the train. This is terrible. I'm going to ruin my reputation. The team are going to be so upset." And I felt really sick. And then I started to say, the trains run every 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. What's 20 minutes? My material's so great. They have lots of time. After all, they finished practicing at 3 o'clock. And it was fine. So all the way there, I was playing a game, and I actually got the train on time, but they really wouldn't have minded. But I could have ruined my day, made myself panicky and sweaty by going, "Oh my God, I haven't got enough time," and now it's all ruined. And it's never ruined. You can come back from anything. And then I worked with a client who had cancer and had to go into this MRI scanner. And every time I saw him, he said, I can't do it. I can't get in that scanner. And he said, "Well, I feel like I'm in my coffin. I feel like it's a premonition of my death. And when I get in the scanner, I think, well, I've got cancer and I'm going to die." And I said, "Well, I freak out. I press the button, I have to come out." And they keep saying, "Look, you've got to." I can't even be in there for 2 seconds, which is not true. When people say, I can't do it for even a second, he probably was in there for a few minutes. I said, "Look, the words you say to yourself in that scanner, this is a premonition of my death. I feel like I'm in a coffin. I feel like I'm suffocating and I can't do it." That's a blueprint. And your mind doesn't like those words. So how about these words? How about saying, "I'm in my bed at home and I'm just so chilled and I could lie here for hours. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, I'm blissed out." You must use words that make a picture. You can't go, "Oh, I'm okay, really. I'm quite good. I'm not bad. This is okay." Because when I say the words "okay," "not bad," what's the picture? There's no picture. It's what I call fluff. When you say, "I'm chilled, I'm blissed out, I'm ecstatic, I'm just lying here and I could do this for hours, it's just so cool," the mind goes, "You're right." And when you go, "I'm in a coffin and I'm suffocating," the mind goes, "You're right." See, here's the great thing. You can choose any words you like. You can go, "Well, we're all going to be negative and this half's going to be positive." That's your choice. You know what you can't choose? What you do to yourself when you say, "I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, I'm a retard, I've got rocks for brains, everything goes wrong. Who would ever like me? I've got cellular, I'm a single parent, I've got no chance. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't go to college, so I couldn't possibly do what you do." I got kicked out of college, by the way, so you can definitely do what I do. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I can look at my life and say being fired, being dumped, and being kicked out of college, thank you, God, for putting that up to me, because it changed my life. It was the best thing. Rejection has been one of the best things that ever happened to me. Being the least favorite kid, if I could have my life again, I'd go back and be the least favorite kid, because I thought, I'm going to show my parents that I'm something. And if I was the favorite, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had a totally different life. So with my client, I was saying, these words are really important. So he got in the scanner, he stayed there for hours, and he said that when he came out, all the nurses and doctors came in and gave him a standing ovation. He said it was more powerful than his last business deal because he felt so good. Some years later, I had to go in a scanner. I thought, well, I'm just going to play with this. I love playing with words. So I lay there, and I was going, I'm so chilled. This is so good. How many of us would say, I'd love 20 minutes to myself? Well, here I am. 20 minutes to myself. I can lie here and do nothing. No one's going, can you proof this copy? Can you answer this email? Can you speak to this client? My daughter's going, Mummy, my boiler's broken in my apartment. Can you come over right now and fix it? I had 20 minutes to myself. And I was going, I'm so chilled. And then I thought, let's do the opposite. So I was going, I'm in a coffin. I've got claustrophobia. I feel like I'm trapped. And all the buzzers went off, and I didn't even know I was moving. And then they speak to her, like, Marisa, you have to lie completely still. Stop moving. So I had to go back into I'm chilled, I'm ecstatic, I'm blissed out. And I love doing that. And it's a really good thing to do to yourself. I'm late, I've ruined everything. I have all the time I need. You see, you have a choice. Every day you get to choose how to speak to yourself. But you know what you don't get to choose? What you do to your body when you say, I'm an idiot. I knew I'd mess that up. I knew that relationship wouldn't work. I've been waiting for it to go wrong. In fact, the day we got married, I stuck stickers on all my stuff so that when we got divorced, there'd be no confusion. I was already planning the miscarriage. I didn't buy anything for my baby. I mean, who does that? Lots of people, apparently. They're all my clients, and they plan for stuff to go wrong. They say, I sent my kid to college, and I said, don't worry, you're probably going to hate it. Here's a credit card so you can get a return ticket back in a week's time. They plan it, and you don't want to plan it. You want to ban it. So words are really powerful. You can choose to be negative or positive. That's your choice, but you cannot choose what you do to yourself when you use negative language. So the first rule of the mind, what you expect is realized. Who thinks that's true? So here's my advice to you. Expect amazing things then. If what is expected tends to be realized, expect the best. Expect love and success and an amazing life, because you know what? It will probably be realized really fast if you expect it. Imagination is more powerful than knowledge when dealing with your own mind and the mind of others. If I said to any of you, come and stand on this chair, who would come and stand on this chair? I'll give you $100 to stand on this chair. Sure. If I said, well, now the chair is on top of that spire on the highest building in Tallinn, who's going to climb up and stand on it for $100? Who would do that? Some people would, because they've got a good imagination. They go, if I can stand on it there, I can stand. And most people go, no, I could fall. If we had a little tiny plank up here, you can walk the plank when it's on the floor. Put the plank between two high-rise buildings. Who's going to walk it? Not many people, because the imagination that you could fall and kill yourself is way more powerful than the knowledge that I did this on the ground. It's wide enough. Fear of flying. Knowledge says it's actually the safest place in the world. The most dangerous part of a flight is actually the drive to the airport. That's way more dangerous than being in the plane. Do you think the imagination cares? We'll go, I'm in a flying coffin. I'm hurtling through the air, and that guy looks like he's come straight out of ISIS, and he's in the bar. I think he's going to blow up the plane. And then you feel terrible. The other person's going, I'm watching a movie. I've always wanted to watch The Shape of Water. This is so great. Here's my time again to do nothing. So whatever you imagine will defeat logic, will defeat knowledge. And when dealing with children, people do logical, why are you so bad? Why can't you get it? What's going on? Why are you so naughty? And that doesn't work. I never say to kids, why are you bad? I go, what happened to you? I was working with a little kid recently who always played up before lunch and would get hysterical after every meal. And I'd actually been in an orphanage in Zimbabwe, and I'd seen that a lot, that at the end of the meals, the kids start weeping uncontrollably because they don't know when the next meal is coming. And they go, look, you're in an orphanage, it's fine. We have food, you'll be fed 3 times a day. It takes about 2 years for those children to stop crying as they remove the plates, because the emotion is, when's the next meal coming? So this little boy was really difficult at school, and he'd been to 3 different schools. And one of the teachers contacted me, and I said, when does he do it? She said, well, he always does it before meals. And I said, you should ask him, not why he does it, but what happened to him. And then the mother came in and said, well, I adopted him at 1. He was born to crackheads. And he used to cry when I left the room. And when I read his notes, his parents would leave the room for 3 days. And he didn't get fed very much. And so he's got this panic about not being fed. And I said, well, you should tell the school that. And of course, you can't logically say to a child, look, you're going to be fed every 4 hours. You have to go, look, you have some memories. They're really sad, but Mummy is going to put some nuts in your bag, and you're always going to have something. And you can't do it logically, because feeling is more powerful than logic. The feeling you're going to die on a plane will always wipe out the logic. This is the safest way to travel. One of my clients said, please help me. She said, I've done the logic. I went to British Airways flying course. I walked into the cockpit wearing shorts, and I lost control of my bowels in front of everyone. Now I'm even more scared about flying, because this was a course to make you better. They were logically showing me all the controls. When they said they were taking off, I had a terrible accident. I knew it was bad because the pilot put a mask on, and I had to be taken off that plane. And now I'm even further back from ever flying, because logic doesn't work. Emotion does. And so I would talk to her and say, you know, you have to pretend you're at the front. You have to say when you're on the plane, I love it. Oh my God, flying thrills me. It elates me. It empowers me. It delights me. I love flying. Your mind goes, you're right. And when you go, I'm going to be blown out of the sky, it's a smithereens, your mind goes, you're right. Because here's another rule of the mind. It does not care if what you do is right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, healthy or unhealthy. It just lets it in. So let me show you. Put your hand in front of your mouth. You may have done this before, but let's do it again. Put your hand in front of your mouth like you're about to eat. Close your eyes. And imagine you have a big, fat, juicy, gorgeous lemon in your hand. I want you to breathe in that gorgeous, gorgeous lemon smell. I want you to squish that lemon and feel the waxy surface. Open your mouth, still with your eyes closed. Shove that lemon in your mouth and eat it. I want you to bite the flesh of that lemon, suck out the flesh, suck out the lemon, start chewing it, eating it. Eat that whole entire half of a lemon. Keep going, keep sucking, chewing, and swallowing. And open your eyes. And put your hand up if you made saliva. So here's a question for you. Where was the lemon? Where was it? Say that again. Yeah, people say there wasn't one. Oh, there was. There definitely was a lemon. It was in your imagination. You know there's no lemon. You go, what's going on here? I know there's no lemon. Why am I pumping out saliva and going like that? What am I doing that for? I know it's not there. But your mind believes it. The mind will believe everything you tell it. Tell it great things. If you enjoyed that video, check out the next one right here. You can also click the link below right here for your free gift. We have a choice. You can go, I'm in agony, my head is killing me, which is not true. You can go, I've got a headache, it's slightly annoying, but I'm going to take